Welcome back to the Senior Health Channel, where your well-being always comes first. You've spent a lifetime building a sanctuary in your home, a place of comfort and trust. But have you ever had that strange feeling that you're not quite alone? What if I told you that some of the everyday things you rely on are quietly watching, listening, and sharing secrets you never agreed to tell? From your television set to even your doctor's office, your privacy might not be as secure as you believe. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover 5 of these hidden spots. I'll share real stories and give you simple, practical steps to protect yourself and keep your hard-earned independence intact. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you're joining us from today. Drop your city or state in the comments below. It's wonderful to see our community connect. If you like this video, please leave a 1 in the comments. If you don't like it, please enter a 0. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and let's get started. Point 1. Smart TVs and surveillance in your living room. Let's begin in a place we all cherish, a room that holds countless memories. The living room. For George, a 74-year-old widower from Ohio, this room was his sanctuary. His favorite armchair, worn in just the right places, faced the brand-new smart TV he'd bought himself after his old one finally gave out. It was his window to the world. Old westerns, the evening news, and video calls with his grandkids. He thought of it as just a television, a simple box that brought moving pictures into his home. He had no idea it was also a door he'd unknowingly left wide open. One Saturday, his grandson, Mark, came over to help with some yard work. As they sat down for a glass of iced tea, Mark glanced at the sleek, dark screen. "Hey Grandpa," he said casually. "Is the microphone on that thing always active?" George chuckled. "It's a TV, son, not a telephone. It doesn't have a microphone." Mark's smile was gentle. "Actually, most of them do now. It's how they listen for commands like, 'Turn up the volume.'" He picked up the remote and, after a few minutes of navigating menus with names that sounded like gibberish to George, voice interaction preferences, data sharing agreements, he found it. A small, glowing icon on the screen confirmed it. The microphone was on. And the settings allowed outside companies to listen in to improve their services. A quiet chill crept over George. He thought about the private conversations he'd had in that very room. He'd talked to his doctor on speakerphone, shared financial worries with his sister, and even found himself talking aloud to his late wife, Mary, as if she were still sitting in the chair beside him. Were those intimate, deeply personal moments being sent to a server somewhere, listened to by a stranger? The thought was mortifying. His safe space, the very heart of his home, suddenly felt invaded. That trusted television now felt like a spy he had welcomed in himself. Seeing the look on his grandfather's face, Mark immediately showed him how simple it was to fight back. He showed George how to go into the settings and permanently disable the microphone. For the tiny pinhole-sized camera at the top of the TV, they took a more direct approach, a small piece of black electrical tape. It wasn't elegant, but it was effective. Finally, they made sure his home Wi-Fi network had a strong, unique password. In less than 10 minutes, the power had shifted. George was back in control. The TV was once again just a TV. It's not about avoiding technology altogether. It's about understanding it and making it serve you, not the other way around. With those few small actions, George reclaimed his living room, ensuring his sanctuary remained truly his own. Point 2. Smartphone apps as digital pickpockets. Now, let's move from the living room to something most of us hold even closer, the smartphone in our pocket. We see it as a lifeline, a connection to our children, our friends, and a world of information. But within that helpful little device, silent thieves can be at work. They aren't after your wallet, they're after your data. They are the digital pickpockets of our time. Consider the story of Linda, a 68-year-old widow living in a quiet retirement community in Florida. After her husband passed, her phone became her constant companion. It was how she saw pictures of her new grandbaby, got recipes, and played a few simple games to keep her mind sharp. One afternoon, she downloaded a free, harmless-looking word puzzle game that promised to be a great brain teaser. When she opened it, a box popped up asking for permission to access her contacts, her location, and her microphone. She didn't understand why a word game would need all that, but the language was confusing, and she just wanted to play. So, like millions of us, she tapped allow. A week later, strange things started to happen. She began receiving a flood of robocalls, not the usual generic ones, but callers who knew her name and the city she lived in. Then her friends started calling her. "Linda," one asked, "did you send me a link about a miracle cure?" It looked suspicious. Linda was mortified. She hadn't sent anything. The puzzle game, it turned out, wasn't free at all. In exchange for a few minutes of distraction, it had copied her entire contact list and sold it. The app had picked her digital pocket, stealing the names and numbers of everyone she held dear. It felt like a betrayal, a violation of the trust she had placed in that simple, innocent-looking game. Her daughter, visiting the following month, helped her uncover the culprit. Together, they navigated to her phone settings, a place Linda had always found intimidating. They looked at the permissions she had granted to each app. "Mom," her daughter asked gently, "why would a puzzle game need to know where you are or who your friends are?" It didn't. They immediately revoked those permissions and deleted the app for good. This experience taught Linda a valuable lesson, one that we can all learn from. Your phone should be a tool that serves you, not something that takes from you. Before you download anything, ask yourself if it truly needs what it's asking for. Regularly go through your apps and delete any you no longer use, because they might still be collecting data in the background. Stick with well-known, trusted names. You've used your wisdom to make smart decisions throughout your life. Now it's time to apply that same wisdom to your digital world. By being a vigilant gatekeeper, you take back control, ensuring your smartphone remains a helpful friend, not a pickpocket in disguise. Point 3. Public security cameras and the feeling of being watched. Let's step outside now, into the world beyond our front doors. Remember when a walk through town was just that, a simple walk? You could browse a shop, sit on a park bench, or run an errand, feeling a sense of quiet anonymity. But that feeling is slowly vanishing. Today, whether we're at the grocery store, the pharmacy, or just crossing a public square, unseen eyes are watching. And they are getting smarter every day. This is something Robert, a 70-year-old retired history teacher from Pennsylvania, began to notice in a deeply unsettling way. Robert was a private man, a creature of habit. Every Tuesday, like clockwork, he would visit his cardiologist for a routine checkup, and then walk 2 blocks to the pharmacy to pick up his heart medication. It was a simple, private part of his life, or so he thought. Then, the digital whispers began. On his home computer, ads started appearing for a new, expensive brand of the exact medication he was taking. An article popped up on his newsfeed about the best exercises for seniors with heart conditions. A local clinic began sending him targeted ads for blood pressure monitoring services. It was too specific to be a coincidence. He hadn't searched for any of these things. It felt as if someone had looked over his shoulder at the pharmacy counter and read his prescription. The truth was far more sophisticated. The security camera that scanned the entrance of the pharmacy, the one mounted on the traffic light near his doctor's office, and the ones dotting the public square weren't just recording for safety. They were equipped with facial recognition. These systems could identify his face, note the time and location of his visits, and piece together a story. Robert visits a heart specialist and a pharmacy on this schedule. This data, stripped of his name but linked to his digital profile, was then sold. His movements in the physical world were being turned into a commodity in the digital one. The freedom he once felt walking down the street was replaced by the creepy sensation of being analyzed, profiled, and targeted. So, how do we reclaim our public spaces? It starts with awareness. Begin to notice where the cameras are. When you see one, you acknowledge its presence, taking away some of its invisible power. Small, simple changes can also make a difference. A brimmed hat or a pair of sunglasses can make it significantly harder for automated systems to get a clear read of your face. But the most powerful tool we have is our collective voice. As seniors, we are a respected and influential part of our communities. We can support local policies that demand transparency and place limits on how this kind of surveillance technology is used. It's about ensuring our public squares remain places of freedom, not data collection centers. Your life is your story to tell, not one to be pieced together by a network of unseen cameras. Point 4. Smart home assistants and devices that are always listening. Let's return to the heart of the home, where a new kind of helper has quietly moved in. It sits on the kitchen counter or the end table, a small, unassuming cylinder. We know it by name: Alexa, Google, Siri. It's the friendly voice that plays our favorite oldies, tells us the weather before our morning walk, and reminds us to take our medication. It's a marvel of modern convenience. But this helpful companion has a secret: it is always listening. Caroline, a 71-year-old grandmother from Texas, adored her smart speaker. Her children had given it to her for Christmas, and it had quickly become part of her daily routine. She used it to make hands-free calls to her daughter while kneading dough for bread, and she loved asking it to play the classic country tunes she and her late husband used to dance to. The device felt like a friend, always ready to assist. She never imagined that this friend might be eavesdropping. If this story has been helpful to you, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a comment to share your thoughts. Every word from you is the motivation for us to keep bringing more valuable content. Her son, David, discovered the truth during a visit. He was helping her link a new music service to her account and opened the device's companion app on his phone. As he tapped through the settings, he found a section he'd never looked at before: voice history. Curious, he opened it. There, listed in chronological order, were dozens of audio snippets. He called his mother over. "Mom, come look at this." At first, they saw the expected commands: "What's the temperature outside?" and "Play Johnny Cash." But as they scrolled, the recordings became unsettling. There was a snippet of a confidential phone conversation Caroline had with her insurance agent. There was a private, hushed discussion she'd had with her best friend about a sensitive family matter. There was even a recording of her softly humming to herself, thinking she was completely alone. A wave of unease washed over Caroline. It felt like reading a diary she never knew she was writing. Every stray word, every private sigh, every offhand comment spoken within earshot of the device had been captured, sent over the internet, and stored on a distant server. The very device she had welcomed into her home to feel more connected had been violating her privacy most intimately. The feeling wasn't just anger, it was a sense of betrayal. But you don't have to throw these helpful devices out to protect yourself. David showed his mother 3 simple steps to reclaim her home. First, he pointed to the microphone mute button on top of the device. When pressed, it glowed red, a clear signal that it was no longer listening. He told her to keep it muted and only turn it on when she needed to give a command. Next, within the app, they found the option to delete her entire voice history and set it to stop saving recordings in the future. Finally, they decided to move the device from her quiet living room to the busier kitchen counter, a less sensitive area for private conversations. With those small changes, Caroline was in charge again. The device was now a tool, not a houseguest with no manners. She could still enjoy the convenience it offered, but on her own terms, ensuring that the private moments of her life remained exactly that: private. Point 5. Medical offices and healthcare privacy risks. There is one place where our privacy should be absolute, a space built on a sacred pact of trust: the doctor's office. For generations, we've understood that the conversations held within those walls are a vault, protecting our most sensitive and personal information. But in today's digital age, the walls of that vault are quietly being replaced with glass. James, a 75-year-old retired engineer from North Carolina, had always placed unwavering faith in his family doctor. He'd been seeing him for 20 years. When he checked in at the front desk, he'd watch the receptionist type his information into a computer, assuming it was just a modern version of the old manila folders. He never gave it a second thought. His health was his business, shared only with the medical professionals he trusted. The first sign that something was wrong came in the mail. He started receiving glossy brochures for specialized dietary supplements targeting his exact health conditions. Then came the targeted online ads. After a visit to discuss his arthritis, his computer screen began showing him ads for walk-in bathtubs and stair lifts. After a routine blood test, He saw promotions for life insurance companies that specialized in policies for people with his specific risk factors. It was deeply invasive and, frankly, embarrassing. It felt like a stranger had been listening in on his checkups. What James didn't know was that his medical information, while protected by privacy laws, was often managed by third-party software companies. These systems, designed for convenience, can have clauses in their fine print that allow anonymized data to be shared or sold for research or marketing. Your medical history, unlike a stolen credit card, which can be canceled, is permanent. It's a detailed blueprint of your life, and on the open market, it is worth more than any financial information. For James, what should have been a private journey of managing his health had been turned into a consumer profile for sale to the highest bidder. This is a profound violation of the dignity we all deserve when it comes to our health. But you are not powerless. You have the right to become the guardian of your own medical story. Start by asking questions at your doctor's office. You can politely inquire, "Could you tell me how my digital information is stored and who it might be shared with?" Don't be afraid to ask for a printed copy of their privacy policy and take it home to read. You can often opt out of having your information shared for marketing purposes. And the old ways still work best. At home, treat your medical statements like you would a financial document. Shred them before you throw them away. If you are deeply concerned about digital records, you can always ask if paper records are an option. By taking these small, proactive steps, you are not being difficult. You are being diligent. You are reinforcing the walls of that vault, ensuring that your health remains a private matter between you and your doctor, just as it was always meant to be. Point 6. Online shopping and the hidden dangers of e-commerce. Finally, let's talk about something that has become a wonderful convenience in our modern lives: online shopping. With just a few clicks from the comfort of your favorite armchair, you can send a birthday gift to a grandchild across the country, or buy that one item you can't find in local stores. It's a fantastic tool, but every time we shop online, we are walking through a digital marketplace, and it's wise to know where the pickpockets are. Betty, a bright 72-year-old from Wisconsin, loved the freedom of online shopping. She could browse different clothing stores without her feet getting sore and find the perfect sweater in just the right color. For convenience, she would often save her credit card information on the websites she trusted, so she wouldn't have to re-enter it every time. It seemed like a harmless shortcut. One Tuesday morning, while sipping her coffee, she checked her email. There was a message from a popular department store: "Thank you for your order. Your items have shipped." Betty frowned. She hadn't ordered anything from them in months. She opened the email and saw a list of expensive electronics being shipped to an address she didn't recognize in a different state. A cold, sinking feeling washed over her. It wasn't just a mistake. Someone was using her money. After a panicked call to her bank to freeze her card, she learned the unsettling truth. The website of a smaller online boutique she had shopped at 6 months prior had been the victim of a data breach. Hackers had stolen the customer list, including the credit card details that Betty and thousands of others had saved for convenience. Her personal, private financial information had been sitting on a server, a digital treasure chest waiting to be unlocked. Her experience, while frightening, is a powerful lesson for all of us. Protecting yourself online isn't about being a computer expert. It's about applying the same common sense you've used your whole life. First, before you ever enter payment information, look at the web address at the top of your screen. It should start with HTTPS and have a small padlock icon next to it. That S stands for secure. It's the digital equivalent of making sure the door is locked before you discuss private matters. Second, avoid saving your credit card information directly on shopping sites. Instead, consider using a secure payment service like PayPal. Think of it as a trusted middleman. You give your card information to one secure company, and they handle the payment without ever exposing your details to the individual stores. Finally, get into the habit of checking your bank or credit card statements regularly, just like you would have balanced a checkbook. A quick scan once a week can help you catch any unauthorized charges immediately. By taking these simple precautions, you can continue to enjoy the incredible convenience of online shopping without leaving your financial door unlocked. So, we've journeyed together through the hidden corners of our modern lives, from the living room TV and the smartphone in your hand, to the public square and even the privacy of your doctor's office. Throughout your career, whether you were building a business or a creative practice, you learned to read the fine print, to vet your partners, and to safeguard your most valuable assets. Your personal information is now one of those assets. The small actions we've discussed today, checking a setting, asking a question, choosing a more secure option, are not signs of fear. They are strategic decisions. The goal isn't to unplug from the world you helped build, but to engage with it on your own terms. It's about making technology your employee, not your master. You've spent a lifetime taking calculated risks and building something of value. Now it's time to apply that same sharp instinct to protecting your digital legacy. I'm curious, which of these points was the biggest eye-opener for you? Share your thoughts and any of your own strategies in the comments below. The wisdom in this community is our greatest resource. If you found this discussion valuable, like this video and subscribe for more content designed for sharp, experienced minds. Thank you for watching. Stay in control.